talking about Christian music and considering the label Christian music to be a marketing tool, what's the role of worship music? Is that, in your opinion, also a marketing tool?
To me, I mean, there is a function of what you could call worship music. I prefer the word liturgical because that, to me, just once again implies this. It's the work of these people, of a group of people. Because once again, I don't think that a normal song can't be worship for that artist, or can't become worship, a form of letting go, a form of a spiritual connection for somebody. I think most music means something like that to somebody. So again, the word worship I have a little trouble with, but in implying that some is more worshipful than others. But I do think that liturgical music, the music that people sing, especially in church, that is a legitimate function and a need for people to write for that function. You know, I mean, there's dance music that's made for dancing around in the club, you know, for whatever. And it's called dance music. So I really don't have a problem with some kind of descriptor, or even if you want to call it genre, of liturgical music or worship music, whatever you want to call it. To me, that makes more sense than calling something Christian, like that it has a specific function, like a dance song would have, and that's for a group of people to engage in worship together, or prayer, or whatever, in this liturgical lament, doubt, whatever it might be. I think that's a legitimate descriptor of a function of a piece of art.
Mm-hmm. I remember reading in your blog that you're telling us about sitting in an airplane with your guitar, and obviously somebody will ask the question, what kind of music do you make? And then you think, like, what am I going to tell this person? Because the label Christian music doesn't suit you very well, and you feel like you're pushed into a certain type of corner. What do you think is the image that let's say the outsider has of Christian music?
I mean, you've been quiet here a while. Do you have anything to say to that?
Well, yeah, I think, I mean, we've had people tell us, you know, of what their view is of it. Even our neighbors, you know, that we've been living by these guys for 5 years now and really gotten to know them pretty well. And now we joke about, you know, they heard that these Christian musicians were moving into the neighborhood, and
there goes the neighborhood.
So they heard the song "God Is Not a White Man," and in part of it, you know, it says God loves lesbians and God loves everybody, and one of the guys looked in the other one, and he goes, "That's not true. Like, the God's not supposed to love the gays, you know." and like, so they've taught you they're gay, and so they'll joke with us now about how this idea that they had about Christian music and Christian musicians, and it's sometimes quite heartbreaking, you know, because you're trying to create this art that everybody can listen to and can really reach all people, and so there's a lot of really, really wonderful Christian music out there, but there's some that has really alienated people, and so one of our neighbors, he's sitting in our house one day, and we're showing him this new album that we're doing, and he just started weeping. He started crying, and I don't know if we were his neighbor, or if we hadn't, you know, been friends for this long, if he would ever have listened to quote unquote Christian music, just because of the experiences he's had from Christians being so judgmental towards him. So, and I've heard these stories from many other people. Like, I've totally shut off this kind of music because I felt like it was this or this or this or this. And again, that's a very blanket statement. Not all of it is like that, but Christians can sometimes be known to be judgmental people. So
we're human.
Yeah. So it's human. So people kind of shut that off. But
is that part of I'm using the word ministry. Is that part of the Gungor ministry, to go out there and show that there's also a different way of being Christian, or that there's a different way to look at Christianity?
Maybe. I think it's more of an attempt to be Christian almost. Like, I'm really not much for proselytization. I mean, I know I want people to have life-giving faith and hope and belief and love and all these, but I really, I think the best way to be a light, Christians like to talk about, is to just try to actually live what you're talking about yourself. Like, actually love our neighbors, literally those guys that are like, that's being friends with those guys and showing love to them is a far more Christian thing to do to me than having conversation and debates about the gays, or like, what does the Christians do about the gays? Make some friends and like be nice. I'm trying not to cuss on here, but we're making music. We're just trying to be. To me, once again, Christian is not about. It's not primarily about these certain beliefs that you have, as much as to me. When you look at when Paul said there is no more Jew or Greek or male or female or slave or free. All these divisions that we like to have in the world, we've made Christianity another one of those divisions, Christian or non-Christian. Mm-hmm. Maybe Christianity is the breaking apart of all of that. It's not another identity, it's the breaking apart of identity, it's the rupture of all that, and a way of being in the world, a way of being human, a way of
the loss
living.
Of all identity, like Christ gave up all identity when he died.
Yeah.
And becoming, or moving towards life abundantly, like Jesus talked about. Mm-hmm. And so we're making music that's we're trying to live life abundantly and share that with others.
Yeah, and not so much like, I don't think our attempt was ever like, hey, we're gonna make this different kind of music. It felt like for a long time we actually really tried to make the same kind of music. Like, oh, this is what's working and this is what people want, so we're gonna write this kind of style. And it was doing, it was okay, but oddly enough, I mean, we apparently weren't very good at it because nobody ever heard our music. So it was really interesting once we let it all go, and I mean, literally just letting the jobs go and letting all the jobs that we had, making a certain kind of music that we thought would make us money and security and all these things, the way that we thought Christian music was supposed to be written, just letting go of all of that. And once we stopped caring and were more honest, the breaking apart of all these labels and definitions, once we were more just honest with the kind of music we wanted to make, honest with where we were at, which is kind of frightening sometimes, because as a Christian, you feel like there are all these things you're supposed to subscribe to, and that people will get very upset if you don't subscribe to those same kind of things. And but once we started being honest, that's what resonates with some people. So it was really more a journey of, let's be honest with who we are and what we feel like we need to create, instead of just trying to make something different.